Dan and I are about to do a presentation with our 8th grade team. We usually don't get to meet with them completely as a group, but today we were able to get a few to come in. And one thing we're really trying to push with our building is going with Google products and Google tools. Through our MIT program, we've really seen the benefit of using Google tools. And it's interesting because as a district, we are really adapting 1-to-1 ratio of Chromebook student to Chromebook. Our 8th grade team actually has met that goal now. Not all teams in the middle school have met that. So some of the things we really want to push today are like why we want to go Google, use the Google tools and stuff like that, and really the benefits of having the Chromebooks, because a lot of times the teachers who are getting these Chromebooks don't know what to do with them. They're like excited. They're like, yeah, I got technology in the classroom, but then they're really not sure, like, well, what's the benefit? Is it they almost use it more of like an add-on tool than anything instead of a replacement tool for something. So that's some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, some of the teachers have had some training, but some have just been thrown into, here's Chromebooks, do what you want with them. And you're right, I think some of them come in saying, I don't know what to do. So in our presentation, you're going to see us talking about a lot of different things. One of the big components we're going to talk about is the cost factor. We are a smaller district, and to be quite honest, we don't have tons and tons of technology rolling in because we just don't have the money to spend tons on it. But Google is one of those things where they supply so much for free, and they're constantly fixing it and adapting it and trying to make it better. And usually when you get free products, you know how it is. Sometimes when you get free products, they're not that great. But Google is a free product, and it's like always cutting edge. So it's one of the big things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about compatibility with those Chromebooks. We're going to also talk a little bit about how it helps us comply with some of those laws. Which laws were those that I think you were going to?
I think we're going to talk about COPA and stuff like that, like how it's going to protect their anonymity, whatever.
Yeah, whatever that big word is.
Yeah, protecting students basically. And we'll also mention things about like, what's Google's stance, like what are some of their what am I trying to say?
Like
philosophies, stuff like that, and how that kind of matches up with our teaching philosophies a lot of the time and stuff like that. And we'll throw in some benefits and stuff like that here and there. So
yeah, and I think at the end, just like last time with our small group, we're going to do some follow-up. We always do. We try to make sure we're available basically for anybody that might need questions down the road. So there will be some follow-up ones. You probably won't get to see them, unfortunately, because they'll be usually one-on-one or individual based, but we'll go from there. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks. All right, guys, once again, thanks for coming. We're going to be talking about Google educational tools. Triv is going to be a real nightmare today. I can already tell. He's that student, Kevin. All right. But we're going to talk about Google educational tools. We're going to go through a few things that you may or may not already know about them. We're not going to necessarily show you the educational tools today because a lot of you guys have already worked with them. We're just going to go more over like why you should use them. All right? So there it goes already. One finger, man. One finger. There it goes. So we're really talking about why Norton should go Google. One of our big things that we've been pushing is trying to eliminate a little bit less paper. I know Trivisano can definitely get behind that a little bit, using a little bit less paper. And also the fact that digital age does make some of our aspects of teaching a little bit easier, such as grading. We talked about Edulastic last time with another group. That was a big one, that's digital cutting down paper and also making life a little bit easier for teachers. And that's one of the things that Google does. One of the big things about Google that we wanted to point out was obviously, the cost factor. We're not getting, tons of new money for schools. Missy's always writing grants for us, doing something to try to help us out. Google is free. That's one of the big things that helps us out. All of these other things that match up with Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, Classroom, they've all got some type of purchasing rights that you got to pay for. Even the tools that we use, like Edulastic, even though they have free parts to them and components, a lot of that tool, obviously, to get all the cool stuff, you got to pay for it. So Google is pretty much one of those driving forces that since they do some stuff with ads, they can provide free things. They're always really trying to link with educational products and trying to really push for schools. So it's a way for us to use tools technology tools that are cheap, free, save some money in the district, and help ourselves out there. So Kevin's going to talk a little bit about our compatibility with what we use.
The nice thing about Google is that every Chromebook that we have in the building is a Google Chromebook. Okay, so like it runs off Google's system. And so everything that Dan just showed up there is compatible with the Chromebooks already. Okay, so most teachers here have Chromebooks already, and if not, that's what they're going to end up with. The other thing is that Google is compatible with pretty much anything, even like Apple. You can still use Google products on an Apple product. And stuff like that. So like I could get on my phone and do something on Google and share it with you on your computer, and it would work. So I can access, for example, this isn't even a classroom example. I run a volleyball league, and I set it up on my computer at home, but then if I want to look at something while I'm at the league, I can just pull out my phone and look at it. I just open my Google Drive on my phone. So like Google Drive is a huge thing that's compatible. The other thing that Dan mentioned was, as far as purchases go, like it's cheap, okay? And so it's not like you have to buy this program for every single thing that you have. You can just download it or open it up depending on what product you have, and it'll work.
Yeah, and with our Chromebooks, they already threw a lot of the apps on. So like Classroom, they already threw it on the bottom. You guys know this already. You see it. It makes it really easy for the Chromebooks just to like click the app, boom, pop it right open. So Google's got an interesting history. I don't know if you guys have ever looked at them or not. They go back quite a ways. It's kind of funny when you look at their rules. They have certain rules and philosophy. Before looking them up, a lot of this I didn't know. I just kind of thought Google was like that evil empire, just like Disney and everybody else who's kind of taking over the world. Like Disney, Amazon, Google, boom, they own everything. But when you look them up, they've actually got some rules that we try to instill in our classroom sometimes, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Their number one rule, and they go to this for everything, and I put it at the bottom. Whenever they look at anything, when they're in meetings, they always try to go with the philosophy of like, don't be evil. Like that's like one of their main underlying things. It was actually like their motto for a long time, and then they kind of pushed it on the back burner. Because once it got out there that was their motto, a lot of people said like, don't be evil is your motto. Are you being evil? And it kind of looked bad, but they still do it. These rules stay simple: collaborate, great just isn't good enough, give value for free, protect your market, no hype necessary, don't take yourself too seriously. I mean, a lot of these I'm pushing in classroom. I know you guys are to our kids all the time. I'm telling my kids all the time in history, or science, don't overthink it sometimes. They do it all the time. We're always putting them in groups, trying to get them to work together. And these are some of their big rules. So it's kind of interesting, obviously, as a company that, once again, I think pushes a lot of those values that we do in our classroom also.
The next thing that we're going to talk about is being anonymous. A lot of people raise questions about privacy issues when they're dealing with Google. They feel like it's such a big, huge thing, corporate thing, that when you use it, you're giving your information out to everyone. But that's actually one of their big goals, is to keep things like that from happening. So for example, here at Norton, we give every student a Google email address. And what that does is that makes it so that anyone with a Norton email address can work with those students, but anyone outside of Norton doesn't have that ability. So it protects the students because anything that they put into their Chromebooks or stuff like that doesn't leave the district. It's basically restricted to those who have just a Google account with Norton. And I know that there's been some controversy about that with other places as well. So that's one thing that I really have been impressed with Google is that they care about safety. They want to follow the COPA laws that we've talked about earlier in the year, stuff like that.
Nobody wants to get sued.
They don't want us to be getting sued, and they don't want to get sued themselves. So it definitely helps you keep anonymous.
Bonus candy to anybody who could say that word after the presentation.
How about right now?
We didn't even try. Really?
Do you have candy?
I have candy. I'll give it to her after. Nice job. I got chocolate. Gotcha. Collaboration is a big thing with Google. Like Kevin said, he can share it with his own devices across the board, at home, at work, wherever he goes. anywhere that you got internet access, you can access these Google products. But you can also, obviously the big component, and we know this because we do a lot of this already at the school, is we can collaborate. And I think it gives us opportunities to go beyond just kind of the simple stuff. We use it for team notes already on the 8th grade team, but we can also use it. I used it with a student teacher that made all her lesson plans on the weekends and things like that, was very busy. It allowed me to go in. Actually, she linked everything. So I could go in and look at it whenever I needed to. We could pull it up basically right in the classroom, all the resources, anything that website link that she wanted on there. And we actually put it on Classroom too, just put it right in Google Classroom so that parents and kids could see, hey, if you missed a day, this is what we did for the day. So we were collaborating together, but we also pushed it onto the kids and worked with them also. It's kind of limitless. If somebody's got a Google account, I can share almost anything in there. I know Kevin has mentioned before how he actually, you and Val had like a personal calendar for a while with Google. You just link them up together because they're sharing. She could put in all the stuff, and then you can read what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I actually know what's going on in my life now.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we can use it on personal levels, but sometimes we just take it that far. We can take it so much further in the classroom with working with peers. Even in our master's program, obviously we're using it like crazy to reach people that are, a couple states away, that we don't have time to work with any other time. Google is pretty cool with the fact that, we live in an age now where our resources are almost limitless and who we work with is almost limitless. And that's one of their big pushes that they do. So we had kind of mentioned, we put this quote up because we live in a day and age where there's just so much out there. I mean, there's so many tools that they pump out and they're always like, buy this, buy this, buy this. But Google is one of those that has really kind of, I think, simplified a lot of these, tools that can come across as complex with other ones. They make it free and they kind of, weed out the riffraff and make it easy for you to say, well, this is going to be the simple tool. I can put the blinders on a little bit and they're all going to work together nicely. They're all going to, play with each other nicely in terms of all the tools and all the software and make life a little bit easier for us when it can be a little stressful.
So after taking it all in, why would we want to make the move to Google as a district? I think it's been pretty self-explanatory, but in the end, I think it's a major time saver. That's my biggest bonus. Okay, we want to save paper and stuff. Some people want to save paper. Okay, but for me, it's a time thing. It's instantaneous. A lot of things you can do on Google are instantaneous. Collaborating becomes so much easier. We just get more and more added to our plate as a teacher, and so this helps conquer some of those things. The collaboration piece is just really probably my other biggest reason is it's a time saver, and it's really easy to connect with your other teachers, your peers, because you have access to whatever they're working on right away. That's why we like to, as a team, use the team notes in Google Drive, because if you miss something, you can look it up and be like, oh yeah, we talked about this the other day or something like that. In fact, today, I made a survey with my Panther Time class about whether or not they go to the school dance. And I shared that with our administrator so that she gets some ideas of what she can change for the school dance. And so it's something that she had instant access to. She saw 28 answers from our students because they got on Google Forms and filled out a form, and she had access right away instead of conducting 28 interviews with 28 different kids.
Mm-hmm. I think what's kind of funny too, Kev, is back when I went to school, and I know Triv's about the same age, and Missy's about the same age. We're gonna toss you in there. Apple was like a big push. Like Apple was like everywhere in the school, and I feel like every product that was ever brought to school, like worked well with Apple or went alongside it. And I feel like even the products that come in that we do pay for, almost all of them are like, hey, this embeds into Google Classroom, or you can sync with Google Classroom here and just pump it right in. I feel like everything Google is so big right now that even if you use other educational tools, it's going to come back to they wanted to work with Google because they did make it so simple for our classroom. So if you have any questions, obviously, we put our emails up there, but you guys know us personally and you can reach out to us at any point and ask us anything really. So are there any questions or? We did an awesome job then. Yeah, nailed it. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.